With companies racing to make their wireless mics as compact as possible, we're seeing a lot of compromises with features being dropped just to fit everything in these tiny form factors. But it seems that Saramonic Air is the exception. A new wireless mic that's tiny but with an aim to make as few compromises as possible. And for only £129, you actually get a surprisingly complete package. Hi all, it's Aaron from Breedy Visuals, and today we're reviewing, of course, the Saramonic Air wireless microphone kit and hopefully helping you decide if it's the right choice for you. This compact wireless mic system is aimed at content creators, vloggers and beginner filmmakers on a budget, and to be fair, offers a really great price to performance ratio. I'm actually recording this video using one of these right now, and normally we use a Sennheiser MKH50, which is a microphone that costs like £1,200. This is a fraction of that price. But as always, we like to use the mic we're reviewing for the entirety of the video to give you the best idea of how it sounds, particularly if you are someone who is aiming to use a mic for a talking head video like this one. Now, let's face it, microphones can get very pricey, and that's why this one caught our attention when Saramonic first got in touch with us about reviewing it. Now, full disclosure, Saramonic sent us this kit for free and covers some of the production costs, but as always, all thoughts and opinions are fully independent. They don't get to see the video beforehand. So with that out of the way, let's get on with the review. Now, when I first opened the box, I was genuinely surprised by how small the whole package is. Everything comes in this really cool slim metal charging case, and I really like how they included a glass cover so you can see whether the mics are charging and check the battery percentage instead of trying to guess from the ambiguous dots on the side of the case. Inside you get two transmitters with built-in omnidirectional mics, one receiver, a USB-C phone adapter, the charging case itself, magnets for the transmitters, two wind muffs, a TRS to TRS cable and a USB-A to USB-C charging cable. I wish it were USB-C to USB-C though. There's also some paperwork, manual and a quick start guide, and all of this fits into this very nice little carry pouch. When purchasing the Saramonic Air, you get two options. You can either buy this kit with everything I just mentioned for £129, or if you pay about £20 extra, you get two lav mics as well, which is what I have right here. Now, in my opinion, it's worth paying extra to have more options. Sometimes it can be more discreet to have the lav mics, like for interviews or weddings or when you have time to like mic people up properly. Price point, I think the build quality is pretty solid. The metal charging case feels nice and secure, and it provides an extra 1.5 times charge for the transmitters and receiver as well. The case charges to full capacity in about 2.5 hours. Now, in my experience, that's on par with other microphones out there, especially in and around this price range, and should last you for a good day of shooting. The system runs on 2.4 GHz with a claimed 300-meter range. Now, keep in mind that usually means in an open space with no walls or obstructions to block the signal. Now, I always take the maximum range of wireless mics with a pinch of salt, and in my opinion, no one ever really needs like crazy maximum range anyway. Most of us care more about the stability and the reliability of the connection, where your subject tends to be relatively close to the camera anyway. But it's nice to know that 300 meters is the acclaimed maximum range. It's certainly a nice to have. There is also a very slight delay, a latency of 25 milliseconds. So if you are listening back and monitoring in real time, there is a very tiny lag. But in my opinion, it's not enough to make any real discernible difference. The receiver has a color display plus physical buttons for power, noise, cancellation, and mute. There is also a headphone jack so you can monitor your audio. The menu takes a while to get used to, but it's fairly intuitive once you get used to the short and long presses. I would have preferred a touchscreen myself, but I wouldn't expect that at this price point, and what we have here is perfectly functional. I did find that setting these up is very simple. Everything just powers on and pairs together automatically as you take the units out of the case. I also didn't encounter any issues with connecting the mics to a phone. Using the USB-C adapter, you can get them working straight away without going through the app, which we will have a look at later on in this video. The receivers have a single power button that also acts as a mute button. The thing that stood out to me straight away is that these use a custom connector instead of a standard 3.5mm jack. Now, I usually hate proprietary connectors, but in this case, it actually solves the problem of fitting an audio jack into such a tiny form factor. And just in case you're wondering, this is what the sound from the provided lapel mic sounds like. Now, it's up to you whether you think this sounds better than the actual dedicated microphone itself. It is kind of subjective. However, it's always really nice to have the option to choose between both depending on the scenario that you're in. With how small the transmitters are, it makes it really easy to clip them onto the clothing, or you can use the magnets for a trickier situation. Now let's talk about the sound. As you might have heard while I've been recording, the Saramonic Air delivers very solid audio performance for such a budget kit. My voice sounds very clear and relatively noise-free when recording in a quiet room like this. I haven't done any processing to this apart from just some audio leveling. I'll pause for a second here so you can just hear the self noise. You might hear my cat scratching herself in the background. Car driving past. But yeah, pretty good. I am impressed by how clean the audio is. These will serve you very well for, like I said, vlogs, for social media content or interviews. It is, of course, you know, it doesn't replace a high-end microphone, but it's perfectly serviceable, and we have to remember the price and who the target audience of this is, you know, vloggers, social media creators, and budget filmmaking. So I've taken the microphone outside now, and as you can hear, there's probably quite a lot of background noise. We are at a hotel pool where there's some kids and traffic and wind and that sort of stuff. So we're going to try out the 2 levels of noise cancellation so you can hear what it sounds like. So now I've turned on the first level of noise cancellation, so you should hear that there is a little bit of a difference already. I think this is a very good middle ground because my voice doesn't sound too muffled, but it has reduced the background a little bit to make my voice a little bit clearer. And this is the second level of noise cancellation. Now, in my opinion, it does do a really good job of getting rid of the background noise, but it also does make my voice sound quite muffled and robotic, almost like I'm underwater. So this is not something that I'd prefer to use unless it was like an emergency situation where it was very noisy. Now, personally, I do prefer to do this on my own so that I can kind of like tweak the settings myself. But this is a really good option for anyone who just wants like a quick and dirty job, basically. So, you know, your mileage may vary depending on your use case. But for me, it's good to have this option anyway. The Saramonic app makes it a bit easier to change the settings on the mics. The interface is also very simple to use. You can either use the mics in mono with both mics recording to a single channel, or in stereo where each mic goes to a separate channel, which is ideal for recording multiple people. There is also an option to use a safety track which records the audio to a separate track at -6 decibels. You can also access features in here like the limiter and the low cut filter, which can get rid of some of those annoying sounds from fans, AC or traffic. And you also have some EQ presets that you can select for each mic if you're someone who's not confident processing your audio. It just makes it more simple. One thing to note is that the Saramonic Air does not have any internal recording. Personally, I love having internal recording for like events because you can record without hooking up the mics to another device. So it would be great to see that added in a future version perhaps. But at this price point, it's not something that I would expect anyway. Aside from that, at this price point, I haven't really found any major drawbacks. If I had to pick another improvement, maybe adding a little bit more battery on the receiver, but even 6 hours is usually enough for most shoots or day trips. Overall, the Saramonic Air is a really great starting wireless mic, in my opinion, for anyone who is just on a budget. For the price, it's very complete and a compact kit and performs really, really reliably. The market does kind of seem flooded with more and more of these compact wireless mic kits, but Saramonic is a reputable company that has been around for a while now. And I think what I'm noticing for sure is that these mics keep getting better and better, and at the budget end for sure as well. So even if you can compare this to what was available just 3 or 4 years ago. A lot of them are kind of riding on the whole DJI radio wireless mic wave and offering a cheaper, more budget-friendly alternative. And honestly, for the price, you know, these would be a great pick for a beginner or a creator looking for a budget-friendly, versatile, and easy-to-use wireless microphone system. So I think for that price, you know, it's getting a good recommendation from me. Anyway, that's going to do it for this review. Let me know in the comments section what you think of the Saramonic Air and what microphones that you're currently using. If you found the video helpful, do me a huge favor and hit that like button, subscribe to see more. It really does help out the channel. We are on our way to 100K and are hoping to get there around the new year. Anyway, as always, I will see you on the next video. Thanks again for watching if you made it this far.